No, thank you for reminding me and reminding our fellow Americans that we do indeed stand for freedom, or we stand for nothing. And that's what America has to stand for. I have been very deeply touched by the struggle that's been going on, whether it's Camp Ashraf or Camp Liberty or just the people of Iran, against this horrible, just anti-human regime that now occupies Iran. And it is your presence, yes, you are, and the people of Camp Ashraf and the people now of Camp Liberty are a bother to the mullahs, because your existence is, your very existence is a threat to that type of regime. America must stand with those refugees at Camp Liberty, must stand with the people in Iran who are fighting the mullahs, or in the end, we will pay an awful price for giving up our principles. I was just introduced as someone who believes in a strong national defense. Let me tell you this. There is no such thing as a strong national defense unless you are willing to go on the offense against tyranny and injustice. This man is for us to make a stronger commitment, knowing these people are still at the same game of tyranny and injustice and suppression. Hassan Rouhani, this guy was one of the top murderers back in the 1980s. He organized the death that we recognize now as that ushered in this mullah administration over the people of Iran. And now he's picked he's picked the guy who massacred political prisoners. He's picked him as a justice minister. The world is there to be peace in the world. If there's going to be any security, the mullah regime has to end. The mullahs have to go back to the mosque and leave the people of Iran free to choose their own leaders without the dictates of the mullahs. And it won't turn out okay. It's not going to just turn out okay on its own. There's got to be action and planned out. There's got to be sacrifice. And there's got to be courage, because if we don't, it will get worse as they get some new president in who's really a grotesque murderer. But they'll say, oh, let's hope for the best. There's signs that things could get better. No, because it'll get worse. We'll end up with a mullah regime that has nuclear weapons. That's how it could get worse. We'll end up with a mullah regime that, after they have nuclear weapons, will be even more active in supporting terrorist elements around the world to try to terrorize the West in retreating from the world. The students in Iran understand the corruption and the brutality of the regime, and they long for an opportunity to live in a better country. And they have put themselves on the line. Perhaps the worst sin of the Obama administration was when those people rose up in the streets to protest the election 4 years ago. We said nothing. That is probably the thing that I resent the most. We've got to use our heads as well as our hearts if we're going to succeed in this historic endeavor, which is now our responsibility. And I was so pleased that when I went to Paris, I was able to meet with the leadership and to commit myself and others in my CODEL, congressional delegation, to trying to work. Because The one other thing that's very clear, and as I was leading up to, is yes, there are Azaris, yes, there are Baluch, yes, there are Persian students and the Kurds, etc. But there are also people who have been struggling in the MEK all these years, and they deserve our respect and our support. And I will tell you, nowhere is this message going to be clearer than what we have just seen about Camp Liberty and Camp Ashraf. If we permit these people to be butchered, which is what they would do, this is not the government of Iraq. This is happening because of the government of Iran. This is the mullahs giving a message to the people of Iran and everywhere else. This is what happens if you oppose us. We cannot permit the mullahs of Iran to get away with murder in order to send a message of oppression to the people of that region. We must stand behind the people at Camp Liberty, and if anything else, we must ensure that we have not succumbed to this horrible crime that has been committed, luring them into that small camp. I remember that whole thing. They were promised by us, the United States, that they would have safe passage, that they would then be able to go to countries that would give them safe haven. We cannot break our promise to those people without passing the word to all those others who oppose the mullah regime that they can't trust our word. We must stand for our word, support the residents of Camp Liberty in order to send a message to those who oppose the mullah regime. We are on their side, and you can trust us to be on your side against those tyrants. So finally, with that said, we need to stick together, all of us. Let me reaffirm that today by standing with you and demanding that the mullah regime be replaced with a democratic government in Iran, and that we will continue standing with the people of Iran against that dictatorship as long as we have breath and life in us in the United States. I thank you. You are our link now to those people in Iran. We will, so let's do our duty and stand up for those values that make us Americans. And I have every reason to believe that we will triumph. All of these plagues, we will triumph over radical Islamic terrorists and radical Islamic mullahism, because we are the believers in freedom and justice. We Americans will help those who are struggling and win the day for freedom. Thank you all very much.